How do I stop people from freaking out when my executive assistant sends a calendar invite for a meeting between them and me in my office? This question was posed by a senior executive in a recent workshop I ran. And I had two pieces of advice in response to this. First and foremost, if the only time you ever invite people to your office for a meeting is to have a hard conversation and deliver tricky feedback, of course your people are going to totally freak out. So as an executive, think about the kind of conversations that you're having in your office. Are you inviting people in for coaching conversations? Are you catching up with people for things that aren't as serious in your office? I'm curious about what is going on if every time someone gets a meeting request from your exec assistant, it's sending them off into a spiral. The second piece of advice I had here was twofold as well. It was around this executive. Could they have a conversation with the person before the meeting request is sent? So even if you've got an EA who manages your diary, lucky you, even if you've got that in place, can you pick up the phone? Can you have a quick conversation? Can you even send a text message to that person in advance saying, heads up, I'm going to send through a request for us to have a catch up in the office? And then crucially, can you put the why to them? Can you explain what it's for? And even if it's a tricky conversation, not so serious as that person needs a support person or not a big HR issue conversation. But it might be, look, I'd love to catch up with you to talk about what's working and what we can improve in the way this project's going, for example. So I'm going to get my EA to send through a meeting request. You having that conversation, just a couple of minutes, even a few seconds with them will probably allay a lot of their fears. In a vacuum of information and an absence of communication, we make up our own stories and we often go to worst case scenario because we've got a negative bias. Now, if as the exec, you can't have a conversation yourself, at the very least, can your EA have a conversation or put some context into the meeting request so the person knows what they're in for? So first and foremost, think about the meetings you're having in your office. Don't just have hard meetings in there, or of course people will freak out. And one of my favorite sayings, make sure you explain the why. If you have a communication, leadership, self-management, emotional intelligence, human skill question you would like answered, send it through and I'll do my best to answer it for you next week. Cheers.